Close your eyes for just a moment. When I say the word samurai, what image immediately flashes into your mind? Chances are you picture a lone warrior standing on a mist-shrouded battlefield. He is clad in intricate, imposing armor. His face is set in a mask of absolute stoicism, and in his hands he grips a katana with lethal, terrifying precision. We think of the steel, we think of the blood, we think of the fight. But what if I told you that the true essence of the samurai, the relentless, burning spirit that drove them to become legends, is not actually found in the sharpness of their blades? What if the ultimate secret of the samurai was hidden away in the pages of an early 18th century book? Today, I want to talk to you about that book. It is called the Hagakure, which translates beautifully to Hidden by the Leaves. Widely considered the ultimate samurai Bible, it is the definitive guide to Bushido, the way of the warrior. But if you open this book expecting a simple military manual on how to swing a sword or flank an enemy, you will be profoundly surprised. Dictated by a man named Yamamoto Tsunetomo, a former samurai who became a Zen Buddhist monk, the Hagakure is actually a radical, deeply poetic, and entirely uncompromising philosophy on life, on loyalty, and most famously, on how to embrace death. To truly understand the hidden teachings of this masterpiece, we first have to understand the profound irony of how it was created. You see, Yamamoto Tsunetomo dictated these words to a younger scribe between the years 1709 and 1716. Do you know what was happening in Japan during that time? Absolutely nothing. It was the Edo period under the Tokugawa shogunate, a time of unprecedented, prolonged peace. For the samurai class, peace was a double-edged sword. With no wars left to fight, these once fierce, battle-hardened warriors were slowly losing their edge. They were being transformed into educated bureaucrats, paper pushers, and wealthy courtiers. Tsunetomo looked around at his peers and felt a deep, agonizing dismay. He watched the raw, visceral, martial spirit of his ancestors dissolving into a culture that was suddenly obsessed with money, social status, and polite intellectualism. So the Hagakure was born out of frustration. It was not a mirror reflecting the society Tsunetomo lived in. It was a rebellion against it. It was a desperate, nostalgic cry to remind the soft samurai of his generation what it actually meant to walk the way of the warrior. He demanded an extreme devotion. He demanded unyielding resolve. And that brings us to the most famous and perhaps the most misunderstood sentence in the entire book. Tsunetomo states, without hesitation, "I have found that the way of the samurai is death." Now, let's be honest. To our modern ears, that sounds insane. It sounds morbid, dark, and like the doctrine of a death cult. But if we look closer, Tsunetomo's hidden teaching here is actually one of the most life-affirming philosophies you will ever encounter. He understood human psychology perfectly. He knew that you and I, as human beings, are naturally paralyzed by the fear of death. This fear hums in the background of our lives. It clouds our judgment. It makes us hesitate. It forces us to compromise our morals and our dreams just to preserve our own safety and comfort. So Tsunetomo proposed a radical psychological exercise. He told his students, you must resolve to die every single morning. He taught that a warrior wakes up and vividly meditates on his own inevitable demise. If he imagines being struck down in battle or drowning or falling from a cliff, the fear of death begins to lose its power. Once you accept in your mind that you are already dead, you are suddenly entirely liberated. Without that heavy anchor of self-preservation dragging you down, you can act with absolute purity. You can act with flawless courage. You can dedicate yourself totally to the present moment. The Hagakure is not telling us to throw our lives away foolishly. It is telling us to strip away our ego and our fear so that we can finally live in the present moment with a terrifying, beautiful intensity. It is the ultimate form of mindfulness, forged in the intense heat of our own mortality. But this intensity wasn't just for the battlefield. The Hagakure preaches the total annihilation of the self in the service of something greater. For Tsunetomo, this meant absolute loyalty to his lord. A true samurai didn't just follow orders, he became a ghost in service to his master. He anticipated needs, protected his lord's reputation, and was willing to cast aside his own life and personal honor without a second thought. This was deeply personal for Tsunetomo. When his beloved lord passed away, Tsunetomo wanted to commit junshi, the practice of ritual suicide to follow his master into the afterlife. But the government had recently outlawed it, and his lord had strictly forbidden it. Denied the ultimate act of devotion, Tsunetomo was forced to live. He shaved his head, retreated to the mountains, and became a monk. The Hagakure, then, is the poured-out passion of a man who was not allowed to die for what he loved. He substituted the stroke of a blade with the stroke of a brush. And perhaps the most beautiful hidden teachings of this book are found not in its extremes, but in its quiet moments. The Hagakure holds incredible wisdom on the aesthetics and the poetry of everyday life. Tsunetomo taught that a warrior spirit is tested in the mundane. He spoke of the power of the present, saying, "There is surely nothing other than the single purpose of the present moment. A man's whole life is a succession of moment after moment." Centuries before modern self-help gurus were selling us on mindfulness, this samurai was telling us that true mastery is pouring 100% of your soul into whatever is right in front of you, whether you are drawing a sword or simply pouring a cup of tea. He even talked about the importance of your appearance and your words. He advised samurai to carry rouge to color their cheeks so that if they dropped dead at any moment, they wouldn't look pale or frightened. You must look your best and be your best right now, because right now might be all you have. He warned against complaining or gossiping, because every careless word is a stain on your spirit. A warrior must be as refined as a poet and as lethal as a storm. The legacy of the Hagakure has been complicated. It was kept secret for over a century. In the 20th century, it was twisted by imperial propaganda to fuel the kamikaze pilots of World War II, leading it to be heavily stigmatized. But over time, it has been resurrected. It has inspired novelists, filmmakers, and philosophers around the globe because its core truth cannot be extinguished. So why does a 300-year-old book written by a frustrated, retired samurai matter to us today? We don't carry swords, we don't swear blood oaths to feudal lords, yet we still crave purpose, we still desperately need discipline and meaning. In our modern age, an age defined by endless digital distractions, skyrocketing anxiety, and fleeting half-hearted commitments, the voice of Yamamoto Tsunetomo cuts through the noise like a perfectly sharpened blade. The Hagakure turns to us and asks the hard questions. What are you actually willing to dedicate yourself to? How can you live your life with more focus, more intensity? If you were to wake up tomorrow and strip away your fear of failure, your fear of judgment, and your fear of mortality, how boldly would you live? The Hagakure is not a book meant to comfort you. It is meant to challenge you. It teaches us that true freedom isn't found in hiding from hardship. It is found in embracing the absolute finality of our existence. By making peace with the shadows, the samurai learned how to step fully into the light. And perhaps, if we listen closely to the whispers hidden by the leaves, we can learn to do exactly the same. Thank you.